That was a sign, when we sent against them the barren wind. It left nothing of what it came upon, but that it made it like disintegrated ruins. But they were insolent toward the command of their Lord, so the thunderbolt seized them while they were looking on. So as for Thamud, they were destroyed by the overpowering blast.
Here to tell us about it.
75% of the country is actually below freezing as we speak. So yeah, waking up to brutal cold temperatures, and it's so cold that it's actually frozen some of these vehicles on a roadway. You got to see this video. Yeah. This is coming out of Massachusetts. Now, this is a coastal area, and we had coastal storm surge from the nor'easter that came through. It pushed in some of the water from the ocean. The temperatures dropped behind the snowstorm, and it allowed for the water to freeze in the roadways and also help keep those cars frozen in time. Unbelievable. The neighborhood and streets there looked like a frozen lake. Can you imagine just seeing that from your house?
Ferocious waves flooded cities, and frozen streets creating chaos in Boston.
Unquestionably the worst. I've seen it down here.
Oh my God, I kept seeing it come closer and closer. It's like, oh no.
It was pounding. It was hitting the seawall and going above the telephone poles.
Homes and businesses flooded by several feet of water, that water then freezing in place, trapping entire streets of cars.
This happened all in a matter of 45 minutes.
Lifeboats deployed in the roads, pulling loads of pedestrians to safety. And just south, a family trapped in their home was rescued by a tractor, climbing into the bucket so they could escape. Plus treacherous driving conditions leaving many without a paddle. One person trying to brave the weather, steering straight into frigid floodwaters, only making it a short way before the headlights flicker and the engine goes dead. The driver then forced to get out of the car and walk to dry land. Dozens taken to the hospital, and the Bitterbomb's death toll keeps climbing.
We immediately knew it was some sort of toxin that was taking everyone over.
In New Jersey, a teenage girl killed and 36 others hospitalized after an entire building filled with carbon monoxide.
People were laying on the hallway floors. You have to get out now. You can't stay here another minute.
There were winds gusting over 60 miles an hour on the lakeshore for as much as a 24-hour period of time. This also was occurring when the temperatures were down into the teens.
In addition, the car's owner left the vehicle parked next to the water after a night out with friends.
Always better to park instead of drive home, but you might want to try to leave the car slightly further from the lake before the night of fun begins.
Now all that's left is to free the car from its tomb of ice. First, apply 350 pounds of calcium flakes.
And that calcium powder is just going to eat through this ice with its heating power. You know, law of thermodynamics here.
What's good about the calcium, it's nowhere near as corrosive as typical rock salt.
Once the passenger side wheels are clear, the car is towed sideways across the parking lot so it can be loaded onto a flatbed truck.
And this is what's left. You can see the wheel here, the mold here from the Mitsubishi rim. This is the ice on this side. Look at this, 4 to 5 inches of ice.
And the lesson to be learned from all of this?
Maybe don't park right next to Lake Erie.
How deep was that? Too deep. Yeah, it's really moving in. It's continuing to move in. Not good.
Water fountains in Philadelphia and New York City are now mountains of ice. In New Hampshire, boiling water instantly froze due to a record temperature of negative 34 degrees. At Chicago's Midway Airport, it was too cold to fly. More than 80 flights were canceled and nearly 250 were delayed.
It was like really hectic and a whole lot of people here.
Chicago emergency officials say the temperatures can be deadly.
Extreme weather is more than an inconvenience. It remains a serious and potentially life-threatening event.
Shelters are overflowing with people trying to escape the brutal cold.
You would pretty much die in the street. You'd freeze to death.
Ed Jacobs is executive director of the Franciscan Outreach Shelter. He says they're not turning anyone away.
This bitter cold weather is extremely dangerous. A lot of our guests have health issues already. We want to make sure they are inside where it's safe and warm.
Yeah, someone here at Fox thinks it's funny to send the Florida guy out into the cold. So I've been out here for like 11 days, but it has been freezing, guys. All jokes aside, it is dangerously cold, and I know it's winter, but this is the type of cold that could actually break daily records this weekend across the country. And it's not just how low the temperatures are dipping, but it's also for how long and the duration in which this cold has been in parts of the country. A wind chill advisory is now in effect for much of the Northeast and in the Midwest. A wind chill advisory meaning that these are dangerously cold wind chills. We're talking about minus 29 in Watertown, New York. That's upstate New York. Minus 12 in Pittsburgh right now. Minus 7 wind chill in New York and Boston, and in fact in New England they're expecting wind chills to be minus 25 to negative 40. That's the type of wind chill that can cause frostbite in as little as 10 minutes. So definitely something to be concerned about. In Boston, Massachusetts, by the way, which got the brunt of this so-called bomb cycloning, especially those 32 coastal communities in Massachusetts along the South Shore and etc. They've had to deal with icy water. And on top of that, you know, Boston, Massachusetts has been dealing with the coldest week they ever had in about 100 years last week. And now, based on the temperatures this weekend, it's going to be 13 consecutive days where they're going to have temperatures below 32, which will be the 4th longest cold streak in Boston's history. Now, here in New York, the New York Post really summing it up well, as they always do. Ice age, and that really explains it. Wind chills here expected this weekend to be minus 5 to minus 15 degrees. And also there are tons of airport delays at JFK, where there are reports of people having to wait on the tarmac for as much as 20 hours. By the way, Leland, we're talking about the second coldest place on Earth. Yeah, it's here in the United States. Mount Washington in New Hampshire, real temperature, negative 36. That's tied with Armstrong in, so I think it's Armstrong, Ontario, up in Canada, guys. Insane.
Yeah, insane. And we're going to talk to somebody, Brian, but I think the Florida guy does pretty well out in the cold. You're braving it well. The hat looks good, buddy. Stay warm. Thanks to you and your crew. And we'll talk to you soon. All the best.
How's the conditions today?
I can't hear you.
How are the conditions today?
Oh, they're really good. I'm about to go get some weight.
الله لطيف بعباده الله لطيف بعباده يرزق من يشاء وهو القوي العزيز من كان يريد حرث الآخرة نزد له في حرثه ومن كان يريد حرث الدنيا نؤته منها وما له في الآخرة من نصيب أم لهم شركاء شرعوا لهم من الدين ما لم يأذن به الله ولولا كلمة الفصل لقضي بينهم وإن الظالمين لهم عذاب أليم ترى الظالمين مشفقين مما كسبوا وهو واقع بهم والذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات في روضات الجنة